We have with us today Mr. Rakesh Asthana, DG BSF and DG NCB, who has very kindly joined us for this session. Before we start the proceedings, may I request Mr. Anil Rajput, Chairman of FICCI Cascade, to please make the formal welcome remarks.
Good afternoon. It gives me proud privilege to welcome all of you to In Conversation series. This is an exciting platform of FICCI Cascade where we share insights and have candid, spontaneous dialogue to understand various facets of counterfeiting and smuggling with our esteemed guests. As part of the series, we have had some of the most amazing minds join us for the conversation on a wide range of topics pertaining to this subject. We are delighted to have with us today Mr. Rakesh Asthana, IPS, Director General, Border Security Force, and Director General, Narcotic Control Bureau. And I think he needs absolutely no introduction. He is very well known in the field of investigation, whether when he was in CBI or post CBI, and in the last few months, he has done some remarkable work, and especially in the NCB. And we have all been seeing him on television and hearing about the excellent work that he has done in this field. In fact, some of you may have actually read recently that worth 2,000 crore of drugs have been recently caught by DRI and NCB together. So it's a very laudable contribution that this team is making under his leadership. I would like to thank on behalf of everybody to kind of come and spare your valuable time and insight on this very important topic with all of us. I also take this opportunity to welcome Shri Anil Sinha, former Director CBI and think tank member of FICCI Cascade. Mr. Sinha has had a very distinguished career in IPS. He's done several things, and most notable that you may have learnt about during his stint with CBI, when a landmark judgment was issued related to Abu Salim and Chota Rajan, and their extradition took place. Both were not only terrorists, they were notorious smugglers as well. He has great insight on this entire thing and operation, and we personally have been a beneficiary in Cascade of his experience in this area. So thank you very much, Mr. Sinha, for today coming and joining us and sharing this platform with Shri Asthana, and taking all the audience who have joined us today with their experience. Ladies and gentlemen, it is well-known fact that global economy is significantly impacted by illicit trade, which makes up a multi-billion-dollar illegal industry. Further, it negatively impacts legitimate economic activity, deprives governments of revenue for vital public service, forces higher burden on taxpayers, incur job losses, and exposes consumers to dangerous and ineffective products. Moreover, it threatens local industries on which depends livelihood of many in the country. A recent study by FICCI Cascade has estimated that over 16 lakh jobs were lost in India due to smuggling in just 5 industry sectors in 2017 and 18. Besides unemployment, massive financial losses, smuggling also creates large-scale destabilization by fomenting crime and funding insurgency and terrorism. Now, I am no expert in this area. We have experts here who will actually share their views on this. Illicit trade is undeniably one of the greatest risks which we are facing. Unfortunately, the problem has only compounded in the recent COVID crisis, where criminals have used the pandemic as an opportunity to increase their nefarious activities, causing significant damage on the economy of the nation, health, and safety of our consumers. And I'm sure this 2,000 crore haul that was captured recently must be one of the biggest that may have taken place in the recent past. In India, since lockdown, our paramilitary forces and enforcement agencies have raided and seized smuggled spurious and counterfeit, whether they are sanitizers, masks, PPE kits, disinfectants, toiletries, costumes, electronic goods, cigarettes, spices, drugs, alcohol, several other items across various states. In 2020, BSF in Meghalaya has seized smuggled goods worth rupees 39 crores and apprehended a total 171 trans-border criminals. And more recently, on 20th of April, BSF seized smuggled goods worth 45 lakhs on Bangladesh border in Meghalaya. Even as countries grappling with this coronavirus crisis, Border Security Forces and Narcotic Control Bureau, under the leadership of Shri Rakesh Asthana, is determined to protect infiltration of illicit goods and substances which are brought into our country while maintaining security across the border. However, with increasing number of seizures being reported every day, it is highly possible that the total seizures may be just be the tip of the iceberg of much larger network. I must add here that one cannot afford to lower our guard, and therefore it is extremely important that our enforcement agencies keep up their already impressive work and ensure that such mischievous elements are kept at bay. FICCI has been focusing on the need to curb the problem of growing illicit trade in the counterfeit, pass-off, and smuggled goods, and accordingly has dedicated a forum, Cascade, Committee Against Smuggling and Counterfeiting Activities, Destroying the Economy. FICCI Cascade, in pursuance of its agenda, has been organizing series of multi-stakeholder dialogue to tackle this adversary, spare spread awareness about the socio-economic impact of illicit trading. Today's interaction is another step in that direction. Once again, I like to welcome Shri Asthana and look forward to hearing his views on smuggling scenario in India, preparedness of the government, and initiative taken by BSF and NCB to combat this menace. Over to you, Shri Asthana. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
sir.
much, sir. And first of all, I must appreciate the initiative taken by the FICCI in this regard. Uh, as DG BSF and DG LCD, first I'd like to give overall picture as to what we do and where we are deployed and what have been the achievements in last few years regard to the smuggling, anti-smuggling activities which we perform. So the BSF is one of the largest border guarding forces in the world, and it is India's first line of defense. After the Kargil war came the theory of one border, one force. So the BSF is now deployed on the Indo-Pakistan border and Indo-Bangladesh border. China border is manned by the ITBP. SSB is manning the Nepal and Bhutan border, and CRPF is being used for the internal security duty. So far as BSF is concerned, we are covering a total 6,386.36 kilometers of borders, both the sides, eastern side and the western side. Indo-Pakistan international border is around 2,280 kilometers, and Indo-Bangladesh international border is around 4,096 kilometers. Apart from the international border, the BSF is deployed on the line of control in Kashmir and Jammu, and independently we are manning 143 kilometers. The rest of the LOC is being manned by the army, and we are working under the operational command and control of the army. Now, the peculiar situation on both the borders is that in the peace time, or no war, no peace time, most of the activities are related to the cross-border smuggling activities. On the western front, that is the Indo-Pakistan border, mostly the narcotics are being smuggled into India through the land route or the land border adjoining Pakistan. Heroin is the most favored narcotic drug which is being smuggled into. Recently, there have been instances of smuggling of methamphetamine. So, apart from narcotics, arms, ammunition, and explosives are also being pushed through the Indo-Pakistan border by the interested element on the other side. So far as Bangladesh border is concerned, mostly we are having cattle smuggling activities, narcotic smuggling activities, fake Indian currency notes smuggling, and human infiltration, or you can say human trafficking. Whereas Pakistan border is concerned, it is a hostile border for us, and most of the time we face ceasefire violations and cross-border firings. But the Bangladesh border is, since Bangladesh is a friendly country, guarding of Bangladesh border becomes difficult in the sense that it is porous, and organized syndicates are working on both the sides to push in the narcotics or indulge in cattle smuggling or other like gold, silver, and all. So far as narcotics is concerned on the eastern side, India is, from India side, codeine-based cough syrup is being pushed into Bangladesh because the codeine-based cough syrup is banned item in Bangladesh, whereas it is not a banned item in India. In addition to codeine-based cough syrup, large number of cattle are being smuggled into Bangladesh. Transportation of cattle and is a banned thing in India, whereas in Bangladesh it is not an illegal activity. So every cattle which is going inside Bangladesh, tax is levied on the persons who are bringing in cattle in Bangladesh. So government is earning revenue there, whereas organized syndicates who are operating in India, they are very powerful, very well organized, and they indulge into this activities earn a lot of money per cattle. If cattle is worth rupees 1,000 here in India, it is worth rupees 5,000 in Bangladesh. You can imagine the amount of money generated by this activity. Both sides, the syndicates are organized. Large amount of money is being transacted due to this smuggling activities, and this money thus generated is further funneled into various other anti-social activities in our country, because these syndicates are funding so many other illegal activities, not only in the bordering states, but also other parts of the country. So it is a very organized criminal activity, though cattle smuggling, name of it doesn't look very alarming, but if you go into the amount of money which is involved into it, it is a mind-boggling affair. Similarly, the narcotics, I have mentioned about the codeine-based cough syrup, methamphetamine or yaba tablets, they are being smuggled into India through Myanmar, and they make way to Bangladesh. Some of it is consumed in India, some of it goes to Bangladesh. Everybody knows that the narcotic smuggling creates a lot of money, generates a lot of money, and most of it is further funneled into the terror activities, arms, ammunition, smuggling. This also is being funded by such activities by the organized syndicates. So far as arms, ammunition, and explosives are concerned, on the Western Front, the Pakistan-based smugglers who are being supported by the ISI in most of the instances are now using the drones. Drones are being used to supply not only narcotics but also arms and ammunition and explosives. Earlier, they were using the uh, tunnels to push the contraband inside our country. Now they are using the technology also. Since last few months or last about a year after this Article 370 was abrogated, a lot of security forces were pushed into Jammu and Kashmir, and especially on the border. Borders have become very tight. Now, this maritime route has picked up so far as smuggling of narcotics is concerned. As Mr. Rajput has been mentioning, of late, the security agencies, in collaboration with the Indian Coast Guard and Indian Navy, has seized huge quantities of uh, heroin on high seas. For example, only recently the Navy has caught a ship with 300 kgs of heroin. Earlier, Indian Coast Guard has seized a ship with 500 kgs of heroin. Only today, again, another ship has been nabbed by the Indian Coast Guard. So every few weeks or every few days, the Indian Coast Guard is catching ships and boats on the high seas and catching uh, or seizing the narcotics, which is its origins in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and it's bringing it to our country, and we are making out cases against that. As you have rightly said, sir, it is only a tip of the iceberg, because the things which we are catching are only limited in number or in volume. Large amount of it already passes through the borders, come to our country where people are consuming drugs in a big manner. I'll just give you one small example of a recent survey which has been conducted by the government of India in the year 2018 and 19. It is one of its kind, and it was the first survey which was done on a very large scale. Ministry of Social Justice and Welfare has conducted a survey, and besides other things, was found that uh, nearly 2.1% of Indian population is addicted to uh, opioids, heroin, consumption of heroin. And they have calculated, it is only a conservative estimate, it cannot be an absolute thing. Nearly 28 lakhs people are confirmed addicts. If you take it as 20 lakhs only, and if you take 0.5 grams of heroin as the normal dose for an addict to take per day. Per day consumption comes to 1 metric ton. And if you calculate it for a year, it is 365 metric ton per year. If you calculate the amount involved, the money involved, there's 365 metric ton by a conservative estimate, only for the heroin I'm talking, is 1,44,000 crores per year is generated only by heroin consumption in the country for the drug smugglers. So you can imagine the volume of money which is generated by such smuggling activities, especially in the narcotics. So this is the situation, and we are catching very little. Like I'll give you the figure. In 2020, we have got, we have seized heroin 3,300 kgs only heroin, whereas as per the survey, per year the consumption is 365 tons. So it's a tip of iceberg which we are touching. A lot of effort has to be made to plug this or to counter the smuggling activities in the country. I'm talking about narcotics, gold, silver, FICCN is another aspect. So in a nutshell, this is the situation which is being faced by the country. As the head of the BSF, I can talk about the borders from where the things are being pushed into our country. As you all are aware, our country is situated geographically sandwiched between Golden Crescent and Golden Triangle, and 99% of world heroin is produced in this area, Golden Triangle and Golden Crescent. Being sandwiched between these two locations, geographical locations, India is the recipient of large volume of narcotic drugs which are being produced in these two regions. So a lot of effort is required to tackle this situation. We are doing it every day. We are catching, but as you have rightly said, it is only a tip of the iceberg. Last point which I want to say is that a lot of coordination is required amongst the various agencies, including the state police and state enforcement agencies, to tackle this menace. Single-handedly, no agency can do anything. And in the recent past, in the BSF as well as in the NCB, we have seen the results because we have established a very good institutionalized mechanism of sharing of information, development of information, and working together to work out the information. That is why you must have seen recently there's a spurt in seizures, not only on the borders, but also on the high seas. Thank you.
I think I can join in now.
Yes, Mr. Sinha. Yes.
Yeah. It's very heartening that one is in conversation with a former colleague, and that too, an officer who excelled himself in every which way. I've had the good fortune of working with Mr. Rakesh Asthana, and as is evident from the brief exposition that he has made today, he beautifully has summarized all the salient features that make the contours of the issues that confront us, the new challenges as they emerge from the problems of smuggling and counterfeiting. Mr. Rakesh Asthana, in recent times, as Mr. Rajput also mentioned earlier, has done remarkably well in red flagging the concerns, particularly relating abuse of drugs in high and glamorous places. This was not to undermine any particular section of the society, as far as my understanding is. It was basically to highlight a problem which is now taking epidemic proportions. So we are having a double whammy. On the one hand, we have this raging pandemic. On the other, the contextual reference which he has just now made about matters relating narco-terrorism, where the smuggling in narcotics are used not only for funding homegrown terrorist activities, but it is also used by foreign sponsors of such terrorist activities for undermining the security of a nation. And we all know we have nations on our different sides inimical to our political, social, and economic interests. Now, in this context, I have few things to discuss with Mr. Asthana so that we have a better understanding qua the work which Cascade is doing and has undertaken to do in future. Cascade is providing a platform whereby all the efforts which need to be channelized against the smuggling and counterfeiting are being synchronized to the extent that unified action is possible. And this possibility can be realized only when we have on board with us our intelligence agencies, our enforcement agencies, our security agencies, because our work is not only in support of the program given by the Honorable Prime Minister for Atmanirbhar Bharat, but it is also meant to secure the country, secure the nation, and also secure the economies across the globe. Now, Mr. Asthana, coming back to some of the things which you have referred, I would like you to elaborate, and I know you can. First, regarding the problem of coordination. Normally, it has been our experience, you have also seen it and I have also seen it, that we operate in silos. BSF mans borders which are perhaps the most difficult borders apart from the borders in the North Americas. Such a huge, long, continuous borders. And if we look at the manpower and the resources that we deploy compared to the other nations, is well, only a fraction. And I'm sure in recent times it has gone up, but nevertheless, I don't know whether it is still adequate enough. So when we come to the borders with Bangladesh, with Pakistan, even there are areas bordering Myanmar, Nepal, and leave aside Indo-Tibet border. The whole thing is so porous that despite the perception of the common man that we need fencing around the world, these borders, we feel that mere deployment of security personnel to check these illegal activities won't be enough. We need better coordination with our international partners as well, with the community in the Interpol, with intelligence agencies across the world. And as I know, Rakesh, you have been quite forthright in this, in eliciting cooperation from others, as is my personal experience. What is the latest that you people are you have been able to achieve in terms of this kind of coordination, that we don't only have to operate in silos, but we work in a unified manner? That's something that you could kindly tell us.
Yes, sir. Now, this problem of coordination is there, no doubt. But I'll tell you, like, I'll explain with regard to the BSF as well as with regard to the NCB. Coordination internally and coordination externally. So far as external coordination is concerned, so far as BSF is concerned, we are in touch with our counterparts in Bangladesh on day-to-day basis at every level, like right from the commandant level up to the DG level. We are in touch with the counterparts in an institutionalized manner. We have, of course, DG level talks twice in a year, but every month our regional commanders and commandants of the battalions are talking to their counterparts across the border. So, and we are conducting joint patrolling on the border during the peak hours also, that is during the night time, where the incidents of smugglings do take place. So that institutionalized mechanism is in place so far as Bangladesh is concerned on the eastern front. On the western front, of course, due to the situation with Pakistan vis-a-vis India, this regular coordination with the counterparts is not there. Internally, so far as coordination is concerned, we are having an excellent coordination with the IB, with the RNAW, NTRO, with the Indian Coast Guard, Army, Navy, Air Force, and all other agencies. So far as central agencies are concerned, the states wherever we are deployed, from Gujarat, Rajasthan, Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, and northeastern states and West Bengal, we are getting excellent cooperation from the state police officials also. So, practically speaking, coordination is not an issue so far as BSF work is concerned. Come to the NCB. Now, as you are also a police officer, you must have seen that the state police does not give that much importance to the problem of drugs as compared to the law and order situation or any other criminal activities in the state. NCB being a nodal agency for the drug administration in India, we are trying to develop coordination with the state enforcement agencies, state police, and other central agencies so that a synergy is developed. Recently, in the year 2019, the MHA has come up with a 4-tiered coordination activities and coordination mechanism in which the state level officers, cutting edge level officers are also involved in that mechanism. For last 2 years or so, we are very vigorously following up this coordinated mechanism which has been put in place by the MHA and in which the DG NCB has been asked to play a lead role. And we are having series of meetings every month with our counterparts in the states so that this problem of drug is tackled properly. I think the start has a good start has taken place. We have miles to go, but of course now this awareness is there amongst the state level agencies also to curb this menace, and particularly in the northeast and in Punjab and Haryana, the state police has done a tremendous job in seizure of large amount of narcotics and psychotropic substances.
That is what I was apprehending, because the state police forces and some other forces they unnecessarily go on protecting what they call their domain. And now this kind of situation sometimes leads to very, very piquant state of affairs. That apart. Now, when we talk...
I'll just a second.
Yeah, please.
So long as I have been in the NCB, I have seen very positive response from the state police all over the country so far as this drug issue is concerned, and whatever programs have been launched by the government of India, they have been followed up very scrupulously and in a very enthusiastic manner by the state police as well. So, as you have rightly said, there is some local issues at the ground level, but overall the scenario is that the local police is also uh, responding very well to our requests, or on their own also they are doing a tremendous job.
Yeah, that's remarkable. That's very good and very heartening development, Rakeshji. But coming back to a little bit of a mundane, this has been an experience otherwise also, that when DRI gets into the picture, when customs get into the picture, or when the seizures are met by others, the state police forces and some of the central agencies who are involved in it, they are kept at the periphery, and sometimes the reward sharing is not proportionate. So these are mundane issues, but nevertheless, it impacts. It does impact. And this is something which all the forces have been grappling for quite some time. That is one area which, though appears insignificant, but at the same time, it at the policy level requires a bit of coordination so that this issue is addressed at the ground level, not at the senior level. At the senior level, theoretically, everything is fine. But when it comes to the ground level operatives, there the things work differently. That apart, another thing, what I would like to draw your attention to, yesterday Times of India carried out a news report about a person in Delhi, it was Dekla Noida, being arrested for holding and black marketing vials of remdesivir and also selling it for 40,000 per vial. What was alarming in that context was that of the vials of remdesivir which was recovered from him, there were certain vials which were marked made in Bangladesh. Now, this is one gray area. Another news report that we have seen today is that in Poland and Mexico, Pfizer's vaccine, which is fake, spurious, is being sold at $2,500 a piece. Now, in that context, with the alarming situation, which is kind of becoming a very, very alarming and panicky kind of a situation in the country at the moment, there are players who would be wanting to benefit out of this situation. There are no end to unscrupulous and greedy people on this earth and in our country as well. So, what are your plans? What are you trying to do so that at the policy level and also at the operative level, these efforts could be nipped in the bud itself? Some proactive measures. This is being viewed incidentally on YouTube, and what you say here will also spread a message and will instill confidence among the viewers.
Yes, sir. I'll mention two things here. Number one, the use of or abuse of pharmaceutical opioids and the use of darknet or internet for the trading of these pharmaceutical opioids along with other narcotic drugs. So far as pharmaceutical opioids is concerned, I must tell that India is having fourth largest pharmaceutical industry in the world. Now, it produces or manufactures all type of pharmaceuticals, including narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances, which are being permitted for use for medicinal purposes as well as for the scientific purposes. And some unscrupulous elements in India, they try to take advantage of this and they divert these pharmaceutical opioids which are to be used only for the medicinal purposes in open market for its abuse. For example, I'll tell you tramadol. Tramadol is used as a painkiller, mostly for treatment in the cancer. But a particular dose of tramadol is being abused by the people, mostly in the African region, for getting high. And as per the World Drug Report, tramadol is one of the most dreaded drugs which are being abused in the world. And India is one of the leading, I will not use the word exporter, but the unscrupulous elements in India are using the channels to divert a large amount of tramadol to be sold. It is a regulated item, but people are taking advantage of the system and doing it. And I'll tell you, during the year 2020, nearly 42 lakh tablets, 42 lakh plus tablets have been seized by the Indian agencies in India, which was supposed to be sent abroad for its abuse. Even in India, it is being abused. Large a network, I must tell you here, that the state police of Punjab, in collaboration with the NCB, has recently busted a network operating from Agra and Mathura, who was indulging only in diversion or exporting or smuggling of these tramadol tablets. So this is one example of cooperation between the NCB and the state police. For these pharmaceutical opioids, they are being abused, no doubt about it. Big industry, people are taking advantage, and they are using, tell you, the darknet to sell it across. In its first of its kind in the world, last year we have busted a ring which was using the darknet, and we have arrested the real person who was operating the darknet from Lucknow in this pharmaceutical opioids. And again, this particular work has been possible only with the help of the international and national cooperation. NCB took a lead role in that. So this area is definitely worth looking into, because as I've already said, it is only a tip of the iceberg, and breaking the darknet is a very difficult task. All over the world, the agencies are working on it. It is very difficult to reach to the real culprit.
Well, that's very nice to know, and thank you very much. Mr. Asthana, maybe you'd also like to tell us something about the endeavors which you people are making in terms of check on the piracy and the intelligence initiatives, which I believe is being spearheaded under your command, and what is happening in that area?
Piracy of what, sir?
See, there are piracy of electronic goods is happening, software, all kinds of things are happening. I would not specify, but I believe that you have dedicated a wing and you people are doing some very good work in that. So could you elaborate on that?
So in the Narcotics Control Bureau,
Yeah.
we have been in association with other agencies. We have been working very actively on this cyber network, cyber crime. And I must tell you that we have the capacity, not single-handedly, but in conjunction with the other experts, to break into a lot of cybercrime network and reach to the real Finder and in real time. We are in live touch with the foreign enforcement agencies like the DEA of United States, Canadian Police, Australian Federal Police, and UK Police, National Crime Agency of UK. So some 4 or 5 countries along with India are working together live to break this network of particularly the drug smugglers, but in addition to that, other criminal activities, if it comes to notice, we try to share the intelligence with other agencies who are competent to take action in that regard.
Rakesh, I would like to hear from you another vital area which concerns this work against the smuggling and counterfeiting. That is, we have been getting numerous smugglers, counterfeiters arrested, smugglers from across the borders, smugglers within the borders. But like in other forces, is there any special endeavor, any special initiative to secure their prosecution, successful conviction? Because this was one area which was earlier not very well attended to. Now, with your experience and with your expertise, which are quite valuable, and I must say that, I'm sure you must have put a thought to this also.
Sir, in this regard, we have put very special attention on the prosecution aspect of every case, particularly in this narcotics. What we have done, some big cases we have taken up, not only for coordination and investigation purposes, but also for following it up in the court to secure the conviction. As you know, the trial of the cases takes some time, but we have established a system by which after the investigation, there is a proper follow-up of the trial in the court. Like in the CBI, there is a system of following up the trial in the court. It was not there in other agencies. So we are trying to set it up. We have hired the special public prosecutors to follow the cases in the court. We are not leaving the court only at the trial end, but we are following it up in the High Court and the Supreme Court also. There is a set of dedicated lawyers who will be presenting the NCB in such courts. Additionally, what we have done is that we have drawn up a list of some 100 top drug smugglers of the country, depending upon their past records. And in a very professional and systematic manner, we are following their activities. We are making full use of FIT NDPS Act, which is a very good act to detain preventively a drug smuggler for about a year's time. So we have started this activity, and I'm very happy to say that not only the NCB, even the state police is also making out large number of cases under FIT NDPS Act. So this information or intelligence about 100 top smugglers is being updated, and they are very carefully, professionally, systematically being followed, and appropriate legal action or preventive action is taken against them. So it may take some time to produce the results, but a systematic approach has been.
That's really heartening. I'm so delighted to hear this because as a former police officer, hearing from a current police officer about the need to strengthen prosecution, it couldn't have been emphasized any better. But Rakesh, in this context, I would like to ask you something. That DRI also makes seizures. They are also making arrests. Customs also does that. BSF does that. The state police forces do that. Everyone is doing it. But again, the problem, the silos exist here. So when we go for setting up of, like we used to do in CBI, the setting up of a fast track court for special cases, do you think that this is the time when we should think in terms of setting up the fast track court for dealing with the matters concerning arrested smugglers, counterfeiters who could be fast-tracked and their conviction could be secured. All these agencies could come together, and the prosecution could also come under unified command, so that action could not only be possible, but it became visible. That, and lastly, when you give your thoughts to this and share it with us, I would also like to hear from you the message that you would like to give to Cascade, how Cascade can strengthen its cooperation with BSF and various agencies, and as well as what is the message that you'd like to give to the boys and the men under and women under your command, in both in NCB and in BSF, and also to the forces across the country, all over. So these are the three things I'd like to hear from you. And thank you very much.
First thing, sir, with regard to this prosecution of such cases, the courts are there, the special courts are there, already there, but as you have said, the fast track courts are not there. This has to be established in respect of some significant cases. I must tell you one more thing here, sir, which we have done. Now, 95% of the cases where we are catching the drugs, they are mostly smuggled into our country. The network which is behind it is sitting in other countries. Till now, what was happening, we were catching the people who are operating in our country, and we were forgetting about the people who had been or were behind this supply to our country. So in selected few cases where large amount or large volume of drugs are being seized, we have made it a policy to find out the source, to investigate them also, and to take to the recourse of issuing of red corner notices, working for their extraditions, and deportation to our country for facing the trial. So this will be a new step. In future, you will find that the people who are sitting in Pakistan working for this trade in our country, they are named in the FIRs or named in the investigations. Red corner notices are being issued against them. Extradition requests are being sent to that country or any other country from there the drugs are originating, so that at least some pressure is there on this organized syndicate which is working from abroad. So this is another aspect of investigation which I wanted to tell you. Prosecution, of course, I admit, fast track courts, especially for some big ticket cases, is required, and we will work for it. And system we are trying to establish, and so far as this drug law administration is concerned, you will see that the Act, NDPS Act 1985, empowers large number of agencies and officers to make out cases of NDPS Act, and the trial of such cases are being carried out in their respective jurisdictions. So a huge amount of effort will be required to coordinate the trial, at least of big cases in different states, made out by different agencies, and a centralized approach or coordinated approach is required. As I have already said, a very robust system of coordination mechanism has been put in place by the MHA, and we are working on it. And this aspect also can be has to be coordinated through that mechanism. Message you want me to convey is that, of course, as a police officer or as a enforcement officer, I will always say that we should say no to drugs and yes to lives, because the drugs ultimately ruins precious lives in our society. We all must work together, not only for the supply side reduction, but also equally important is demand side reduction. We should work for rehabilitation. We should work for de-addiction also simultaneously, so that a comprehensive approach is there. This is what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Rakesh Asthana. It's been delightful interacting with you once again after so many years. Thank you. God bless you and all the best. Over to you, Swati, now.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, sir. On behalf of FICCI Cascade, I would like to thank Mr. Rakesh Asthana for his very candid thoughts. The discussions, sir, were indeed stimulating. Thank you, Mr. Anil Sinha, for your very pertinent remarks and for rightly highlighting the need for interagency coordination and successful prosecution of criminals. I would also like to thank our chairman, Mr. Anil Rajput, our advisor, Mr. P. C. Jha, who is a former chairman of CBIC, and our think tank member, Mr. DP Dash, who is former principal DGDRI, who have joined on this platform. I would like to thank our wide range of audience who have joined live on YouTube. Thank you, everybody. I hope you all had an enriching session, and we look forward to further having this discussion with Mr. Sana for in our future initiatives. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe and have a good evening ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
God bless. God bless.